Before Hollywood bowed to censorship in 1934, it unleashed a wave of films that were sultry, subversive, and shockingly honest. These weren't just movies, they were cultural rebellions, where women took charge, gangsters thrived, and taboos were ripped open on the silver screen. If you're new to pre-code cinema, these 16 essential films will introduce you to an era Hollywood tried to erase. Get ready, because these stories don't hold back. First, Babyface. In Babyface, Barbara Stanwyck delivers a performance so raw and unapologetic it rattled the censors, and still stuns audiences today. She plays Lily Powers, a steel town girl raised in a bar and pimped out by her own father. Hardened and humiliated, Lily takes advice from a Nietzsche-reading friend. Use men before they use you. With nothing but her looks and wit, she seduces her way up the corporate ladder, literally moving floor by floor in a Manhattan skyscraper as her lovers get richer and more disposable. What makes the film extraordinary isn't just the daring plot, but the brutal honesty behind it. This isn't just a tale of seduction. It's about survival in a world that punishes poverty and rewards cunning. The original uncut version, once buried by censors, is even more shocking in its portrayal of sexual power dynamics. Stanwyck's performance is magnetic, ruthless, and haunting. If you want to understand why pre-code cinema shook America, Babyface is the place to begin. 2. RedHeaded Woman. Jean Harlow is all fire and no filter in RedHeaded Woman, one of the most gloriously scandalous comedies of the era. She plays Lil Andrews, a secretary from the wrong side of the tracks who uses her looks and shameless charm to seduce her wealthy married boss. After wrecking his marriage, she claws her way into the elite, without remorse and with plenty of sass. What made this film explosive wasn't just its sexual brazenness, but its refusal to punish the heroine. Lil doesn't face justice or heartbreak. She wins. She slaps, flirts, seduces, and even carries a pistol in her purse. The film was banned in several countries, including the UK, and barely squeezed past US censors even in its toned-down form. But what shines brightest is Harlow herself, smirking, winking, and commanding every scene. RedHeaded Woman is a celebration of ambition, rebellion, and female agency that still feels rebellious today. For anyone exploring pre-code, this film is a fierce statement of intent. 3. Trouble in Paradise. Slick, stylish, and scandalously smart, Trouble in Paradise is a criminally elegant romantic comedy wrapped in silk and larceny. Directed by Ernst Lubitsch, the film follows Gaston and Lily, two charming con artists who fall in love while picking each other's pockets. They team up for a bigger heist, swindling a perfume heiress, only to find themselves tangled in real emotions. The film sparkles with double entendres, veiled eroticism, and wit so sharp it could cut glass. But behind the glamour is a daring celebration of moral ambiguity. The characters are thieves, liars, and seducers, but they're never judged. That's the Lubitsch touch, wickedness served with a wink and a glass of champagne. Trouble in Paradise was so adult in its approach to love and ethics that it was banned once the Hays Code was enforced. Yet it remains one of the most graceful films of its time, treating its audience as clever, complicit voyeurs. If you're new to pre-code cinema, this is where sophistication meets scandal, and the result is cinematic perfection. 4. She Done Him Wrong. Mae West's first major film isn't just a showcase for her legendary wit, it's a battle cry for sexual liberation. In She Done Him Wrong, West plays Lady Lou, a diamond-dripping saloon singer in 1890s New York who has a past full of lovers, a room full of secrets, and a laugh that tells you she's seen it all. Set in a world of criminals, con men, and temptation, Lou is the queen bee who knows how to get what she wants. She's not waiting to be saved, though a young Cary Grant, as a mission worker with a hidden badge, tries his best. The film's script oozes with double entendres, many of which Mae West wrote herself. Lines like, "When I'm good, I'm very good. But when I'm bad, I'm Better became iconic because they said everything Hollywood tried to suppress. Released just months before the Code crackdown, this film became a lightning rod and a box office hit. For newcomers, She Done Him Wrong is the perfect crash course in Mae West's brand of confidence, control, and scandalous charm. 5. The Public Enemy. James Cagney kicks down the cinematic door in The Public Enemy, a ruthless gangster drama that made him a star and redefined crime films forever. He plays Tom Powers, a working-class Irish kid who rises through the ranks of organized crime during Prohibition. With each violent act, Tom grows colder, more ruthless, and less human, until the cost of his ambition crashes down on him. The infamous grapefruit scene, where he smashes a half into his girlfriend's face, became a symbol of pre-Code audacity. But beyond shock value, The Public Enemy explores the seductive lure of power and the dead-end path of violence. Unlike later films where gangsters were romanticized or punished with moral speeches, this one lets the consequences speak for themselves. Cold, brutal, and tragic. It's raw, fast-paced, and drenched in the grit of real streets. Cagney's electric performance, paired with director William Wellman's sharp storytelling, makes The Public Enemy essential viewing. It didn't glorify gangsters, it revealed them for what they really were. And in doing so, it helped shape a genre and push the boundaries of what Hollywood dared to show. 6. Night Nurse. What starts as a medical melodrama quickly becomes a suspense thriller with razor-sharp claws in Night Nurse. Barbara Stanwyck stars as Laura Hart, a spirited young nurse who uncovers a sinister plot to starve 2 rich children to death for their inheritance. And who's the chauffeur behind the scheme? None other than a menacing pre-fame Clark Gable in one of his rare villainous roles. The film's themes of child abuse, class corruption, and institutional failure are shockingly bold for 1931. It tackles alcoholism, bootlegging, and medical negligence with a bluntness that would vanish once the Code took over. Stanwyck shines with emotional range, from comedic defiance to nail-biting courage, as she sneaks around mansions and defies both her superiors and the law to save the children. Night Nurse is unapologetically pulpy, but it's also one of the earliest thrillers to position a working-class woman as a righteous heroine taking on the rich and corrupt. It's gripping, gutsy, and wildly entertaining. A crime drama that's also a moral reckoning. If you're looking for a pre-Code film that mixes suspense with social critique, this one will keep you wide awake. 7th Design for Living. Few films dare to normalize a love triangle. Fewer still make it look this charming. Design for Living, directed by Ernst Lubitsch and based on Noel Coward's play, stars Miriam Hopkins as Gilda, an independent woman torn between 2 artistic lovers, a playwright, Frederick March, and a painter, Gary Cooper. Instead of choosing one, she chooses both, and the 3 embark on a gentleman's agreement to live together without sex. It lasts about 10 minutes. What follows is a witty, suggestive comedy about friendship, freedom, and the chaotic nature of love. Gilda is neither shamed nor punished. She's intelligent, sexual, and free to make her own choices. That's what makes Design for Living such a revelation. In the hands of Lubitsch, the film dances between innuendo and elegance, never crude, but always suggestive. The chemistry crackles, and the idea that 3 adults might craft their own rules for love? That was cinematic heresy in 1933. The film was banned under the Code, but remains a defining work of pre-Code liberation. For first-time viewers, it's a sparkling glimpse into how daring and progressive Hollywood could be, before it decided not to be. 8. I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. This isn't just a film, it's a gut punch to the American justice system. I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang tells the real-life story of Robert Elliott Burns, a WWI veteran falsely convicted and subjected to inhumane treatment on a Southern chain gang. Paul Mooney plays the lead with heartbreaking realism, portraying a man broken not by guilt, but by the brutal machinery of institutional cruelty. The scenes of physical labor under blistering sun, the guards' sadism, and the hopelessness of escape hit like a hammer. The film's final scene, where Mooney's character vanishes into the night, whispering, "I steal," is one of the most haunting endings in film history. It wasn't just dramatic, it was socially explosive. After its release, several states were forced to investigate their prison practices. The film's raw indictment of systemic abuse couldn't have existed post-1934. This was pre-code cinema at its angriest and most effective, a rallying cry for justice cloaked in gripping drama. If you want to see how film can spark real change, I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang is required viewing. It doesn't just show injustice, it screams it. 9. Gold Diggers of 1933. Don't let the glittering choreography fool you. Gold Diggers of 1933 is one of the most politically subversive musicals of its time. Directed by Mervyn LeRoy and choreographed by the legendary Busby Berkeley, the film blends jaw-dropping musical numbers with biting commentary on the Great Depression. The plot follows 4 chorus girls struggling to survive as Broadway shuts down. They chase love, money, and a little justice from the wealthy men around them, but they never lose their humor or humanity. It's a rare film where women are funny, ambitious, and resourceful, all while surviving a financial crisis that mirrored real-life audiences' struggles. Behind the feathers and sequins lies a deep anger, nowhere more evident than in the show-stopping finale, Remember My Forgotten Man, which criticizes the treatment of WWI veterans. The number is powerful, defiant, and completely unexpected in a genre known for escapism. Gold Diggers of 1933 dares to be dazzling and defiant at once. For first-time viewers, it proves musicals can sing, dance, and fight back. 10th Call Her Savage. Call Her Savage is the cinematic equivalent of a slap to the face, loud, shocking, and impossible to forget. Clara Bow plays Nasa Springer, a rebellious, violent, and emotionally unstable woman who fights society, men, and even her own identity. The film opens with her attacking a man with a whip and only gets wilder from there. Bow's character plunges into a world of affairs, domestic violence, barroom brawls, and taboo relationships. The story veers between melodrama and madness, climaxing in a revelation about her racial background that speaks volumes about 1930s America's fear of miscegenation. This was Bow's comeback after a brief Hollywood exile, and she delivers a performance with a rawness and energy that the screen could barely contain. The film tackles issues like sexual trauma, queer undertones, and racial identity, long before Hollywood dared to again. Censors tried to cut it down, but its chaos only made it more iconic. Call Her Savage is messy, loud, and unpredictable, but that's what makes it vital pre-code viewing. It's Clara Bow unfiltered, and it might just be the most unhinged film of the era. 11th Employee's Entrance. If you think workplace exploitation is a modern issue, Employee's Entrance will prove otherwise, and it'll hit you like a sledgehammer. Warren William plays Kurt Anderson, a ruthless department store manager who believes human emotion has no place in business. He fires loyal employees without flinching, manipulates the board of directors, and seduces vulnerable female workers with charm as cold as steel. Loretta Young plays one such victim. Desperate for work, she ends up in Anderson's office, where he takes advantage of her in a scene that's as disturbing now as it was in 1933. The film doesn't flinch from showing the emotional wreckage Anderson leaves behind. But what's more chilling is that he wins. There's no moral comeuppance, only a system that rewards his cruelty. It's a searing look at capitalism, gender power dynamics, and unchecked authority. Employee's Entrance remains shockingly relevant and stands as one of the most socially conscious films of the pre-code era. For modern viewers, it's a haunting reminder that some battles haven't changed, only the backdrop has. 12th, Scarface. Before Tony Montana, there was Tony Camonte, a snarling, gunslinging gangster who rose to the top of the underworld with bullets and bravado in Scarface. Directed by Howard Hawks and produced by Howard Hughes, this version of Scarface is rawer, grittier, and more dangerous than its 1980s counterpart. Paul Mooney stars as a street-smart thug with a violent temper and an unquenchable thirst for power. The film features drive-by shootings, machine gun massacres, and even a disturbing incestuous obsession with his sister. It's one of the most graphically violent films of the era, and the reason why the Hays Code cracked down so hard just 2 years later. But it's not just about carnage. Scarface is a dark reflection of the American dream gone wrong. Its tagline, "The Shame of a Nation," was a warning and a selling point. Hughes fought censors tooth and nail to release it uncut. The film's style, pacing, and visual bravado influenced generations of filmmakers, including Scorsese and Tarantino. For first-time viewers, Scarface isn't just a gangster flick. It's the moment the genre exploded into full-blown rebellion. 13th female. Long before Hollywood celebrated girl bosses, Female dared to put a woman at the top and let her own it. Ruth Chatterton stars as Allison Drake, the steely president of a major automobile company who commands the boardroom by day and seduces her male employees by night. She's not looking for love. She's looking for control, and she gets it with chilling efficiency. Allison is powerful, rich, and sexually autonomous in a way rarely seen before, or since. The film doesn't judge her, at least not until the final moments when the studio awkwardly tacks on a more traditional romantic ending to appease nervous censors. But the rest of Female is pure pre-code brilliance. It flips gender roles on their heads, making men the ones emotionally entangled, while Allison remains cool and calculating. The production design, modernist sets, and sharp dialogue only add to its futuristic feel. Watching it today, it still feels radical, especially when Allison calls out marriage as a trap and sees motherhood as a burden. For first-time viewers, Female is a sharp, stylish revelation, a 1930s film where the boss really is a woman, and she doesn't apologize for it. 14. 3 on a Match. Don't let its short runtime fool you. 3 on a Match packs more drama, scandal, and heartbreak into 63 minutes than most epics. The film follows 3 childhood friends, played by Joan Blondell, Bette Davis, and Ann Dvorak, whose lives diverge and collide in tragic, often shocking ways. Blondell becomes a showgirl. Davis plays it straight. And Dvorak, the once promising rich girl, spirals into drug addiction, kidnapping, and complete emotional ruin. Her performance is harrowing, especially in the film's later half when she's a hollow shell of her former self. The film touches on addiction, class divide, broken homes, and maternal sacrifice with zero restraint. One of the earliest Hollywood movies to depict cocaine use, 3 on a Match feels like it's racing toward a cliff, with no brakes. Its finale is jaw-dropping, even by today's standards. What makes it unforgettable is its refusal to soften the tragedy. Life comes fast and hard for these women, and not all of them survive it. For pre-code newcomers, this is a masterclass in how much emotional weight a short film can carry. It's gritty, graceful, and devastating. 15th Island of Lost Souls. Island of Lost Souls is pure nightmare fuel disguised as early sci-fi. Based on H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau, it stars Charles Laughton as the sadistic Dr. Moreau, a scientist who rules a remote island where he performs grotesque experiments turning animals into humans. What unfolds is a shocking meditation on science without ethics, eugenics, and godlike delusion. The film is soaked in dread, with a swampy, fever dream atmosphere that still unsettles nearly a century later. Bela Lugosi appears as one of the tormented beastmen, asking the chilling question, "Are we not men?" What makes Island of Lost Souls so potent isn't just its horror, but its daring commentary on colonialism, race, and playing God. It was banned in multiple countries and censored heavily in the U.S., yet audiences couldn't look away. The Panther Woman subplot in particular drips with sexual tension and biological horror. For horror fans new to pre-code cinema, this is essential viewing. It's disturbing, philosophical, and visually unforgettable, a dark classic that haunts the imagination long after the credits roll. 16. The Story of Temple Drake. Few films pushed boundaries harder than the story of Temple Drake. Based on William Faulkner's scandalous novel Sanctuary, it stars Miriam Hopkins as Temple, a wealthy Southern belle whose flirtations and naivety lead her into the clutches of a sadistic gangster. What follows is a brutal depiction of sexual assault, psychological captivity, and societal hypocrisy. The film was so controversial it helped solidify the Hays Code's enforcement the following year. Hopkins delivers a fearless performance. She's both victim and survivor, shattered and resilient. Temple is not merely a woman in peril, but a person navigating a world where female desire is punished and male violence is excused. The film suggests that society itself is to blame for what happens to her, a radical idea then and still relevant today. Its moody cinematography, gothic tone, and moral ambiguity make it unlike anything else from the era. The story of Temple Drake doesn't just flirt with the forbidden, it charges straight into it, making it one of the most harrowing, necessary films in pre-code history. These 16 daring films offer a window into a time when Hollywood was bold, raw, and unfiltered. Before the censors silenced the rebellion, pre-code cinema gave us stories that still resonate today. Watch them, not just to see what was, but to understand what was lost. And maybe what we need again.